Welcome back to the Parsonage. You can see here, it's lovely springtime. The wisteria is out. The wisteria is from County Wicklow in Ireland. And it came here as a tiny little slip many years ago. And here it is right around the house. Astonishing. Anyway, today we're under lockdown because of the coronavirus, the Chinese virus that has come out of China and ended up locking us all down around the world. God knows what history will make of this. Today, it being Eastertide, we're still in the octave, the first 8 days of Easter. I was hoping at least, because we're under curfew sometimes in Istanbul and not able to go out, whether we might travel in our mind's eye to Hagia Sophia, the Church of the Holy Wisdom. A lot of us are trying to be wise at this time, but is our wisdom truly wisdom? Or is it just, trying to be intelligent? When we enter Hagia Sophia, we're entering a building that is dedicated, solemnized to wisdom. And wisdom, as watchers of this YouTube channel know, wisdom is a synonym for Jesus Christ. When this cathedral was built in Constantinople, it was built as a monument to the presence of Christ in the midst of the empire, because this Istanbul was Nea Roma, the new Rome, 7 hills and all. So come with me and look at these lovely images that at least we can view even though we're under lockdown. And perhaps one day in the future we can physically go to Hagia Sophia and walk through the church itself. Thank you for joining me. When we enter the church, we enter a great basilican building. It's the throne of a king, and of course the king is the Holy Wisdom, the King of Kings, the Christ, the Messiah. You have to imagine that the place was glittering with gold. There were many gilded furnishings, and there was the great, there were the jewels, there were mosaics of colored glass and crystals, precious, all sorts of precious decoration. The dome would have had the Pantocrator, the Almighty, pictured, not as God, of course, we don't picture God, but as the manifestation of God, Christ. Much of the jewelry, the decoration of the building has sadly gone. This is a result of two things, really. One of the Crusades removed many of the treasures and took what we call the rood screen, the iconostasis, with all the icons on it, away. They stole it and used it in St. Mark's Cathedral in Venice. Well, that's fortunate in many ways because we can still go and look at it. But what we see today is the naked structure, because it became a mosque. at least we can see the bare bones of the structure. And happily, of course, it's a museum, so we're free to walk up to the gallery and see what has been uncovered of some of the original mosaics in the dome and in the galleries. So welcome to this lovely place. It was built at a time when the Church of England was being formed on St. Stephen's Day, I can't remember, middle of the 6th century, on the second day of Christmas, the church was consecrated. And at the same time, the Church of England was being formed by the Celtic missions and the Latin Church, St. Augustine's mission. And while that was all going on and getting ready, in Constantinople, one of the greatest enclosed structures in the world was being built. And it became the center, really, of the church. In Rome, things were not so good in old Rome. And sadly, with the barbarian invasions, it took till the fall of Constantinople for St. Peter's Church in Rome to be built as the colossal structure it is today. And Hagia Sophia has survived here for a millennium and a half, making St. Peter's Basilica in Rome rather new. It was in 537 actually that the building was consecrated, and before that it had been built twice before, but it had been burned down by the citizens of Byzantium. There were riots, of course. The empire was shifting here. There was great discombobulation in the city on many occasions, but the second great riot was about the arrest of St. John Chrysostom. St. John Chrysostom is well known to Anglicans and to Greek Orthodox. He was the great Archbishop of Constantinople that we know now as Ecumenical Patriarch. He's a seniority in the whole church. The word ecumenical means oikumene, the whole household of the Christian church. So the Archbishop of Constantinople had a primus inter pares, first among equals, status in the whole church. And today, the Ecumenical Patriarch of Constantinople is still revered by many of us Christians throughout the world. We look to him for the wisdom to which his original cathedral was dedicated. Now, St. John Chrysostom, this early archbishop, was very popular, and he was considered to have been treated very badly by the empress at the time. He was arrested and put into such terrible detention and such a terrible experience. He died as a result of his experiences. And I'm telling this really just to say that the outrage caused by the treatment of the Archbishop John Chrysostom, the treatment was so bad that the people rioted and burnt down the cathedral. So what we see here is a later building. It's the seat of the authority of a bishop, like any cathedral. At least it was. When you go to Canterbury, you see the seat of the Archbishop of Canterbury's cathedral. When you go to St. Peter's in Rome, you see the seat of the Bishop of Rome's authority, the Pope of Rome. And here, in this lovely building that we're traveling to in our mind's eye during lockdown, we are entering what was once the great cathedral church. We walk, as in many churches traditionally built, from west to east. Now, in Gothic churches, as noted before in this series, often one searches for light through the shadows of man's sin. One struggles in one's pilgrimage to find God. But in a basilica such as this, the place is surrounded by glass, full of light. It's perfectly bright inside. So one is, from early morning till sunset, the place is filled with light in a way that the Gothic style doesn't quite as demonstrate as much. It is what the church calls the Passover, the Paschal season, so where the Hebrew tradition leaves off, celebrating the Passover, where the angel passes over the Hebrews in their slavery in Egypt and delivers them from that slavery. Christians believe that Christ offers us that deliverance from slavery, the slavery of sin and the slavery of death. This is what we mean by salvation, redemption. And at Easter, more than any other time, we're celebrating this great Passover, this Paschal season. It's appropriate to come in our mind's eye to Hagia Sophia to celebrate this great resurrection, this Passover experience, because it is a place of the kingship of God, it's a place of the light of God, and of course the wisdom of God. It's appropriate here to rejoice in our heart at this new light. We can't help but be reminded of that light when we walk around this lovely place. As we say throughout the entire Christian world, whether it's the Syrian Aramaic-speaking Christians, the Greek-speaking Christians that emanate from Constantinople, or the entire Western Church, we say, Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. And that is the greeting for most Christians, at least liturgically, but many of us say it anyway to our friends. It's a bit like saying goodbye. It means God be with you, of course. God be with ye. Goodbye. So it's popular in modern times for people who attend church to greet each other. Christ is risen during the 50 days of Easter. So from the Cathedral Church, now a museum, of Hagia Sophia, I say, Christ is risen. And I wish you and your families, your households, every blessing for this Paschal season. It's not been a pleasant time for many, and perhaps we're more fearful than We're more fearful than happy during Easter this year, but we need not fear, because we have faith, we believe in life, we believe in light, and we believe in holy wisdom. So let us be wise. Now, if you are a friend and subscribe to this channel, please do make sure you're subscribed so you know when an episode comes. And don't forget to like, the thumbs up thing. It does help a lot. It just makes one feel it's worthwhile showing these lovely pictures with my friend who's helping me make this. It gives us pleasure. So do subscribe and do like. And don't forget the comments in the bottom. Just scroll down the page a bit and you'll see comments. So please don't send me loads of emails and texts. It's quite difficult to deal with that. But if you write in the comments on this channel, you will see them. Just look down the page. Get to know YouTube and all will be well. So Christ is risen.